Xenoblade has been a mainstay on the Nintendo Switch system, with the original Xenoblade coming back, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and a plethora of DLC attached to these games. But one of the bigger games that have been left off of the monolith soft plate for the Nintendo Switch is Xenoblade Chronicles X, which recently got a surprise announcement that there will be a Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition remaster-ish port thing that's coming over to the Nintendo Switch on March 20th, 2025. And while I've talked about this game, showed you guys my reaction, discussed many different questions that you guys have, I'm here to tell you that even if you don't play the monolith soft titles when it comes to the Xeno games or more, this is a must-buy open world RPG. Seriously, it really is, as someone who's played it before and looking forward to what they're going to be adding, and I'm going to explain all of that in this video. But before we get into that, what's good everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my Nintendo Switch RPG videos and more first. Let's go ahead and jump right into why you've got to play Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition for the Nintendo Switch. I'll first start off with, this has, maybe even still to this day, one of the most spectacular, or the most spectacular true open world in a JRPG. It's one thing to have these sprawling environments and to have really cool graphics and everything, but I'll say this, Xenoblade Chronicles X has truly one of the best art styles out there. What it lacks in raw technical power when it comes to the Wii U, it makes up with some of the best artists in the world. Every single environment, the different locations you go to are expertly crafted, detailed, and look great. The enemies fit the environments. Everything just looks smooth. There's plenty of places to explore. So the open world truly proves and provides a really great exploration type of game to where you're going to see so many different things. Even if you've been to an area, if you might come back at a different time, you're going to see something maybe a bit different when it comes to certain enemies or even stuff happening in the environment. And it's got a full day-night cycle. And I know some of you guys might be thinking, wait a minute, full day-night cycle, that's not that big of a deal. Well, ask Final Fantasy VII Rebirth if it's got a full day-night cycle in their own open world. So it's one of those things to where this game 10 years ago or so was doing things even games in today's day don't do. Now, like I said, it doesn't mean like it's the most graphically intense overall, but you wouldn't really know that by looking and playing the game. Yes, there are going to be some other games that have more detail, but I'm telling you, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition will have one of the most spectacular, truly seamless open worlds, and very different from the other Xenoblade games, which I would say that Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade 2 are more like large areas connected. Xenoblade 3 is mostly open world with a few different connected areas, but a lot of open world segments. This is truly a seamless open world with literally no loading. You can fly from one area all the way to the next area on the map in your Skell or your mech, and it's all good, except for I think when you go to New LA, like the city that you're in. But there's very few instances of you being in the open world and having to do any type of loading or anything. And I'd say that from a technical perspective, this is probably going to be the most optimized open world game that we have seen on the Nintendo Switch, because they've shrunk the file size somehow according to some information that's out there, and you don't have to worry about the data packs and the fast loading, all this weird stuff that they had to do to get this thing running on the Nintendo Switch because of the lack of RAM and other things. That's going to be eliminated on the Nintendo Switch version of this game on a single cartridge or the download that it does have. So that's impressive in its own right. And I'm pretty sure that Monolith Soft was going through all sorts of weird things in order to truly port this game over and get it as optimized and great as possible. But the spectacular open world is something that you have to experience. It's unlike anything else in gaming, and I think that it's truly one of the major reasons to play this game. Next up is fun mech customization. Now, I think that we have to put a disclaimer out there for people who have never played Xenoblade or Xenoblade Chronicles X. You got to realize that the mech combat isn't like front mission or something like that. So I did see some people asking me about that, and no, it's not. It actually plays with the mechs when it comes to the combat, very much like when you're on ground. You pick on the different blade that you have, you do different attacks, It reloads very much like Xenoblade Chronicles. However, where things differ up and change up is the fact that you can go take off and fly pretty much at any point, which is really cool. And there are certain moves once you hit a condition in battle to where you can go to a cockpit view and start blasting away. So that's pretty cool as well. There are some missions too where it does truly feel like you have this full control of a mech and everything, but I think that the biggest thing here is the customization surrounding the mechs. Yes, the exploration through all these great locations is awesome, and it provides a very different experience than what you would play in Xenoblade Chronicles 1 through 3 or any of the DLC expansions with those games. But the biggest thing to me is the customization on the mechs truly lets you have creative freedom in exactly how your mech is going to operate, combat damage, looks, speed, and even transformations, how they go about on land in addition to the air. So to me, the mech and scale customization is just another reason to check this game out if you're really big into mech RPGs. Yeah, the combat might not be exactly maybe what you'd expect if you've never played a Xenoblade game, but the customization combined with the spectacular true open world and how you can explore the environments in these mechs and have battles in the air is truly something that's incredible, and each character can have a mech, so that means more mechs to customize as well. So fun mech customization is one of the key aspects of this game, and it takes a while to get it, but when you do, you're going to be really tinkering away at that mech and trying to find different ways to make more money depending on the faction that you join in order to continuously upgrade your mech and go on bigger and badder missions. Now, the next thing here is very important, and this is the only online multiplayer Xenoblade game in the history, and I think it's one of Monolith Soft's only online multiplayer games just ever. When it comes to the Nintendo Switch, this is their only online, or will be their only online multiplayer. They don't really do this, so from a historical standpoint, it's really cool that it's coming back, and I hope that it stays online for forever and people don't have to have this whole thing where they don't get to play the game, because it's a very unique online, and I hope they handle it a bit better. But the online in this game, if you have people to play it with and they're into Xenoblade and they're into the environments and to the customization, and you want to actually tackle all of the crazy hardcore missions on there, it provides a great experience overall. It was just a little bit weird getting everything set up on the Nintendo Wii U, but with the Switch, you're going to have more opportunities to play because you can take it anywhere that you want, of course, but also they're probably going to retweak the online to fit what the Nintendo Switch is doing. The Wii U had certain ways that it went online compared to how Nintendo Switch is handling online now, so I do feel that there could be a plethora of different options that were not available back in the Wii U days. So the online, the only one here when it comes to Xenoblade, and if you're a fan of online multiplayer, or even if you're just curious about playing a mech game, a mech JRPG like this online, this is a reason to check this game out. Once again, it provides a very different experience than from Xenoblade Chronicles 1 through 3, where there is no online multiplayer at all, and it doesn't even give the hints of it being any type of multiplayer game. Although it would have been cool to have local multiplayer for some of the Xenoblade Chronicles games, especially Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I think that would have been dope, but none of those have any type of multiplayer, but this game does, and it's really good. So I'm hoping that Nintendo kind of tweaks it to where it's a lot more seamless and better to not only get into the matches with your friends easily, but also being able to use the pawns. Basically, you can use other characters' avatars in order to play in the game, and kind of tweaking how that works, because it was weird with the timers and stuff like that. So I would love to see that all rehauled and made so much better for the Nintendo Switch, which I think maybe that's one of the reasons why it did take some time, outside of them just wanting to finish the Xenoblade Chronicles trilogy first and foremost before they introduced this side story. The next reason why is because the combat is incredible. I do love me some Xenoblade. Some people don't like the combat as much, but I feel that the combination here of the mechs or scales and combat that you can do, in addition to the on-ground combat and vice versa, or mixing and matching, creates a little bit of a unique flavor or style. You have the same auto attacking that you'd have in other Xenoblade Chronicles games. You have these soul voices that you would have as well, putting out orders in order to do things to get extra bonuses and effects. You still have the areas to where, based on what side you are fighting on, you can influence the battles in certain types of ways, and you can move and attack at the same time, which is not in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 when it comes to auto attacking. So there are some changes here that actually make it a really good combat experience, and I feel that is going to be a lot of fun for people if they give it a shot and see what Monolith Soft is trying to do with the combat, because it's very unusual compared to other action RPGs, but I still feel that it's one of the main reasons to play this game, because the combat is so in-depth and a bit different in terms of how they maneuver through the specifics of the combat compared to all the other Xenoblade Chronicles games. Now, the next big reason why you need to play Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition is because they're actually going to finish the story. For someone who, if you've played it on the Wii U, the story ends on a cliffhanger. This is a big issue overall. Maybe they thought there was going to be another one or a sequel or a follow-up. Maybe that's the case, but it never came about. But now at this point, they finally have the resources, time, and opportunity to finish the story, which it does seem like they're going to do. At the very end of the trailer, you can clearly see that there's extra added story elements. Nintendo also states in their press release that there will be additional story elements. Obviously, the visuals have been enhanced, and there's even going to be more. So a lot of these things that I'm talking about are stuff that's going to be improved in this. And the more that you look at this game, the more that you realize, man, they were cooking in 2015 on that 1 GB RAM Nintendo Wii U system, because it still looks great even on the Wii U and looks even better on the Nintendo Switch. But this will actually finish the story, which one of the main issues with Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U was that the story was incomplete, and of course some people didn't like the mute protagonist, and there were some other things when it comes to the story-driven experience that just make it a notch below Xenoblade Chronicles 1 through 3. If I'm just being completely honest, the story is not as good, but I think that this will be a huge boost, a huge boon to the story, being able to have these extra added elements to actually finish up and fix up things. And who knows, they might even add different things to the storyline in order to make it a bit better overall as you play through. So I'm very excited about this, and I think that it's going to be very good overall for the game as is, because that's the only thing that left the sour taste in my mouth when I finished playing Xenoblade Chronicles X was the ending and the story. So I'm so happy that they're going to be fixing this, and it's one of the things, if you're new to the game, you don't have to go through that pain that we all went through 10 years ago or so. You can get that awesomeness from the very beginning. Another reason to go out there and play this as a must-buy JRPG. And I will say, for the last thing here, you don't need to play or understand the other Xenoblade games or other Xeno games to enjoy this one. One of the biggest questions that I get asked across streams and Twitter and everywhere is, where do I start with Xenoblade? Like, I know that there's a big story and there's all these characters and a lot of different stuff that's happening. Where do I start? And a lot of people don't realize you should just start with the first game just because they don't know about Xenoblade. But here's the thing about this game, guys. You don't need to have any knowledge on Xenosaga or Xenogears or Xenoblade 1, 2, or 3. Now, don't get me wrong. If you do have knowledge on those games, then it makes a few things a bit better. And if you're a theorist, you can even try to connect different stuff, despite some people saying that there's nothing. You can do things like that. And it's fun to look into things like that. And it's fun to see that and see these little things from Xenogears or Saga or from wherever. Xenoblade, that's the same way when it comes down to it, because it's a Xeno game. But at the end of the day, when it comes to it, it is an additional side story to what they've done with Xenoblade Chronicles 1 through 3. So you don't have to worry about playing or understanding everything in those games in order to play and understand and enjoy this game overall. So I think that's a huge boost to Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. And I think that this game could be something that sells incredibly well overall for a Xenoblade game. You got to think about it that way. So I'm guessing over 1 million units. That'll be above what it did on the Wii U. And obviously the Nintendo Switch has a huge install base. And sometimes people are just intimidated by the amount of time that they would have to spend in order to really get caught up on Xenoblade if they didn't get into it from the beginning. So I do feel that this being a side thing to the normal Xenoblade games is definitely a benefit in this case, as they've pretty much finished up the Claw Saga with Xenoblade Chronicles 1 through 3, and players can just enjoy something, not having to worry about connecting every single dot or playing the other games in order to enjoy this overall the most. So I think that's very good for this, and one of the reasons why it's a must-buy open world JRPG. So what are your thoughts on Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition? Do you plan on picking it up? You can let me know in the comment section below. But all right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch and RPG videos right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.